my background, as I guess, is with some of these, is some contemplative practices. And I really think that's a wonderful access point, but one among many to starting to learn to have a habit of checking in with your body. So every time you practice, breath monitoring or scanning what's happening in your body, or even listening to sounds, you're doing something that's probably different from normal, and you're disrupting a default sort of habit of doing whatever it else is that you normally do, and adding into the mix the potential for also checking in with your body. So the habit of valuing the body as a source of information, and then practicing pulling your attention away from all the other things into just being curious, like what's happening in my body, I think is the grassroots way of starting to build up the type of competency that we think might be related to well-being, like developing a rapport with your body, feeling like it's a familiar and safe place, at least parts of it, and then learning to be a bit skillful about labeling what's happening, seeing what's familiar, what's unfamiliar. All of these things happen just with a lot of practice, paying attention and seeing what's there and being kind of curious and open to the results. So I'm a big fan of the contemplative practices. You can take them wherever you want. You can do 2 minutes of just wondering like how you're breathing is a good question to ask. And then of course there's lots of scaffolding and support. I don't think it's the only way to train. Some people will go into situations where they can feel their body more from the outside in a way. So if you think about like thrill seeking, extreme sports, even seeing like breathtaking vistas when you go on hikes and things like that, these are ways of actually provoking arousal in your body. There's other chemical ways to provoke arousal in your body as well, in terms of stimulants. So it gets a bit dicier into the health benefits, like the trade-offs, doing that kind of thing. Or you can, in chemical ways, also provoke more receptiveness through this emerging or this renaissance of psychedelics that we're seeing nowadays as well, which kind of break down inhibitory barriers where you might be filtering out signals. So I think I sort of danced around 3 different categories. You can kind of go from the inside out and really intentionally bring our attention into the body. It's kind of a slow burn, but fairly reliable and safe way, I think, to start to gain access to these body signals. You could do it from the outside in, which is sort of like putting yourself in provocative situations, hopefully relatively safe, but there has to be a bit of an element of something going on, something a little bit risky usually to get your body to react. So even going on, like a hike on a narrow path, or like mountain biking down a mountain, just doing something you haven't done before, can also be an access to just being like, how does my body react? Like, am I getting do you feel that kind of rush that something different or challenging is going on? And then, use at your own risk. There's also this whole movement of hacking the chemistry in the body through stimulants or psychedelics to either amp up the body signal through stimulation or break down the inhibitory barriers that stop us from seeing clearly with psychedelics, which I think we're just at the tip of the iceberg, and there's going to be some great things that happen in the next decade or two on that front. And also I think some missteps inevitably as the hype extends beyond caution. So I thought I'd just touch on those 2 points.